Hello, hockey fans. Welcome back into the neutral zone here on IE Sports Radio. The calendar has officially flipped to December. It's getting colder. We've seen some snow in some places, or if you're like me, we saw snow only to watch it disappear and not come back yet. The point is, it's just feeling like hockey season more and more. Lots to get into tonight as we dive on in. We'll be talking NHL all across the board tonight. The Dallas Stars, Texas and hockey in Texas. It is working, isn't it? Robertson and Matthews taking each other on tonight. Austin Matthews, Jason Robertson. Lots to go on there. Who would have figured that the Dallas Stars would be in this spot that they're in? Then we'll look at another one of their Central Division opponents, the Blackhawks. Sounds like, they have finally settled into their rebuilding phase. Still in a tear-down phase a little bit after a little bit of a hot start, but they've settled back down a little bit. We'll dive into that a little bit, plus just dive around some scores all across the NHL. This is the Neutral Zone. Hello and good evening, everyone. I am Adam Karnick, back with you in the Neutral Zone tonight here on IE Sports Radio. Just going to be you and me tonight. Zach Puplis has got the night off. He's got an audition that he's doing, so just going to be me here with you tonight on the show tonight. This first Tuesday in December. We'll see if we're able to go the full hour tonight. I did Chi-Town Weekly last night and had a couple of coughing spells. My wife has been sick for the last week plus. Fortunately, I'm not sick, but I have noticed that it's crazy. When you talk for an hour straight, your throat gets a little dry, and I noticed that I was having a couple of coughing spells last night. So we'll see. Hopefully we're able to make it through the full hour tonight. We may take a couple of longer breaks than normal, or we might cut the show a little early tonight. We'll just see how my throat holds up there, but there's still plenty for us to get to tonight. Plenty of fun to be had with this tonight. So before we get too far into everything, of course, we do need to acknowledge our sponsors here at the network and take care of our assignments and things there. Starting off, of course, so IE Sports Radio now, for the last 8.5 years, we have continued to bring you amazing content, ranging from interviewing legendary athletes to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. All the while, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans. With your help, we are ready to take the next step. When you go to our website, iesportsradio.com, you'll see our Patreon link with 5 different tiers. The first one starting at just $5 a month. This donation gets you a shout-out on every single one of our shows. Higher tiers include IE Sports Radio merchandise, access to our podcasting university, and even a chance to be featured on a segment of our flagship show, The Defining Moment. Thank you all very much for continuing to make IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports. I do want to acknowledge our Patreon supporters at this point: Bay Area Raised, Emlos Great, Key to the Gate, and Anonymous. And also, an aside, follow along with the station on all of the social media platforms, whether that's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We are there for you at IE Sports Radio. And if you go and find us on Twitter right now at IE Sports Radio, you'll see that voting is up for the most recent installment of the IE Sports Radio Hall of Fame. So be sure to go out there and cast your votes and retweet that and get that out there for people. There might be some names on there you recognize. So check that out. This show, of course, is also available for you on Twitter at IESR Neutral Zone. I am at Adam_Karnick, so you can follow along with us there on Twitter. And if you're listening live here on this Tuesday night, hop on into the chat room. Taryn is there already on Spreaker. We can have some fun and interact that way. Or if you just want to sit back and listen, or you're listening later on in the week as a podcast, thank you for being here. We do appreciate it. So the neutral zone tonight, one of the big games going on in the NHL. There's a lot of games going on tonight. We've got a busy slate of games going on tonight. 10 games in total. But one of the games that's keeping a lot of eyeballs on and a lot of people paying attention, myself included, would be the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Dallas Stars coming into play tonight. Coming into action tonight. Dallas is sitting on top of the Central Division at 14-6-5, 33 points in 25 games. Meanwhile, Toronto is sitting second place in the Atlantic, 15-5-6 and 36 points overall, trailing just the Boston Bruins, who have just been insane to start this season. Toronto, all right, that makes sense. You've got Austin Matthews, you've got John Tavares, you've got some established stars in there, and both of those guys, in fact, have scored tonight for the Maple Leafs as they're finishing up the first period, 2-0 Toronto. So you would expect that Toronto would be good. That's completely normal. That's what we would have expected. Dallas, not so much. They were supposed to be doing more of a rebuild and a retool and a reset for this season. But that's obviously not what's going on, as they've been off to this terrific start and are sitting atop the division. And it's starting to feel more and more like this is real, that this is legitimate. This is not something to be overlooked, what's going on in Dallas. And Emily Kaplan from ESPN did an excellent job in her weekly write-up that ESPN published earlier today, talking about the Dallas Stars. And so I thought that would be an appropriate place to start things off tonight, kind of going through Kaplan's work a little bit here, but then just having a little bit of a discussion about hockey down in Texas. The big surprise right now with Dallas, of course, is the play of Jason Robertson. The 23-year-old is having an outstanding season. 41 points through 25 games, 23 goals, nearly a goal a night. He is tops in the NHL in goals. He is third in points. He's put up 111 shots already, scored on the power play 6 separate times. He's having just an absolutely terrific start to the season. I'm doing some quick math here real quick just to give you an idea of how many goals he's on pace for to this point. We have we have completed just over 30% of the season to this point. He's on pace right now. He's obviously not going to be able to maintain this, but he's on pace for 75 goals, which is just ludicrous to say the least with where he's with what he's at. And that would also put him on pace for almost 135 points. You know, that's just insane numbers from this young man. He's on an 18 game point streak going in to the game tonight against Toronto. Now, right now, they're wrapping up the first period right now. It's 2-0 Toronto. But still, a terrific start to the season for Jason Robertson and the Stars. And Kaplan brings up a visit she did with Robertson in August. She was just getting some background information and getting ready to do a feature on him. I want to quote from this here a little bit. Robertson told us if we wanted to experience an authentic summer day with him, we'd have to show up early. He typically arrived at the rink before the sun came up, getting his first skating session in at 6 a.m. And he lives in the Detroit area. His family moved him. His mother was born in the Philippines. Moved to the United States when she was very young, but kept a lot of that Filipino culture. Kept a lot of her heritage with, and instilled that into her son. Originally, they were from California, and they built a synthetic rink for Jason and his brother, who's also in the NHL. They built a synthetic rink in their backyard, and then the homeowners association told them they couldn't have that anymore. So they said, fine, we'll move to Michigan so that, they can get better at hockey. So they moved to Michigan, and that's still where he makes his home in the Detroit area. She brings up that here's this for just for some maturity from him. So when Kaplan went to visit, shortly before her visit, Robertson had considered going to a concert at Comerica Park where the Tigers play baseball. This is one of his favorite bands, the Red Hot Chili Peppers. They were playing. He decided against going because he knew that he would be staying out too late and he'd miss his morning skating session the next day. How many 23-year-olds do you know that would say, no, I can't go out late. I've got to get to bed early so that I can wake up and do my training the next day? I don't know if I ever went to bed any earlier than 1 o'clock in the morning when I was 23. And I had a job that I had to go to, and I was still staying up crazy late. I don't know of many 23-year-olds that would have that kind of dedication and self-control like that to make sure that I stay dedicated to what I needed to do and put that work ethic into that. That's outstanding for him. Looking more at the Stars overall, they've clicked. With some of their younger players have clicked. Obviously, Robertson, Roop Hintz is another guy that's playing well to this point. 30 points through the first 25 games, including 19 assists to this point. They're just doing much better than I think anybody would have expected to this point in the season. I mean, we were kind of thinking that this was still going to be very much a rebuilding year for the Stars, yet here they are sitting in first place in the division, and they seem to be comfortably there in the Central. So a good start to the year in Dallas. Now they're losing at the end of one tonight against the Maple Leafs 2-0. They outshot the Leafs 16-10 in that first period, but goals from John Tavares and Austin Matthews have swung things decidedly into Toronto's favor. We'll see what can happen. I mean, one thing that's been happening a lot in hockey the last, this entire season is, goals have certainly not, no team has been lacking for goal scoring. We had that one game that was 9-8 in overtime last week. So I would say a 2-goal lead. I would not assume that a 2-goal lead is safe by any means there in Dallas. All right, we are going to take our first break of the night, and then when we come back, we're going to stay in the Central Division. We're going to talk about a team that I talk about on my other show, Chi-Town Weekly. We're going to dive a little bit more into the Blackhawks on the other side of this break. You are listening to the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Right back after this.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Dentarius Lava.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That gives you guys spending time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
Hey, what's up, sports fans? You're looking for a different type of sports talk show, something you haven't heard before? You gotta check out the BS3 Sports Show every other Saturday on 2 Live Stews Radio, 1 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Eastern. Sports talk at its finest. Always have great guests, playing some good hip-hop. You don't want to miss it. Make sure to tune in to the BS3 Sports Show every other Saturday at 1 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Eastern.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's going on, football fans? This is me, your boy Larry B, inviting you to join myself, Colin Reynolds, Mike Pat, and John Felipe for one of the most electrifying football shows you have ever heard. 3 and Out, right here at IE Sports Radio. Recap of the week before, a preview of what's to come, and of course, 3 hardcore head-to-head prime-time face-offs each week. You don't want to miss it.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Los Great, here to give you what you want, here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy, white tea. We are coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back into the neutral zone here on IE Sports Radio. Adam Karnick with you here tonight. Zach Puplis has got the night off, so it is you and me here for the next couple of segments as we take a quick peek around the scores, seeing Cale Henderson and Mike Pat hop into the chat with us as well. Golden Knights, Cale is going to be talking all about Vegas sports coming up here at the top of the hour. I'm sure he has got to be just grinning from ear to ear. The Golden Knights last night ending Boston's undefeated streak at home with a shootout 4-3 win a night ago, despite getting outshot 43-24 on the night. But and then Mike Pat with Let's Whine About Sports, just keeping an eye on Ovechkin track over there, making sure that that everybody that let's see if Alexander Ovechkin, how much longer he is doing, just how he's doing catching Wayne Gretzky. So we do have one game has already gone final tonight. The New Jersey Devils just continue to be red hot to start the season. They are atop the Metropolitan Division by a whopping 8 points coming into play tonight, and that just increased with their 3-0 win over the Chicago Blackhawks. With their win tonight, that'll get them up to 43 points on the season, 10 points in front of the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, the Hurricanes do play later tonight in Anaheim, taking on the Ducks. So, very probable that Carolina will make those 2 points up, but still a wide lead for the Devils. Taking a look at the box score real quick. Dougie Hamilton got the first goal of the night in the first period with a snapshot just a little over halfway through. Other two goal scorers tonight for the Devils, Nico Hischier had a goal, and then also Jesper Bratt scored, both of those coming in the second period. The Devils outshot the Hawks 29-24. They were 1 for 2 on the power play. Meanwhile, the Blackhawks were 0 for 3 on the power play of their own. Chicago held to just 4 shots in the third period and only 11 shots total over the final 2/3 of the game. 13 shots in the first period, just 11 shots in the second and third periods combined for the Hawks. Now, for the Blackhawks, no Jonathan Taves tonight. He was out with a sickness, not COVID, the team said, but he was out tonight with some kind of sickness. So they did not have the captain out there. Also, Peter Mrazek was placed on IR, so he was not available in net. Instead, it was Arvid Soderblom in net tonight for the Hawks. So for the I wanted to talk a little bit about the Hawks a little bit in this segment, just because I also do Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio on Monday nights, and I bring up the Hawks, but I don't always go as in depth. And I thought since it was just me tonight, I'd go a little bit more in depth into the Hawks. The Hawks are in a rough patch right now. Looking at their standings right now, they are currently in the Central Division. They are in last place. 25 games played. They have just 18 points, 7-14-4 now with the loss tonight behind everybody else in the Central Division. And this loss is second in a row, and this is the second game in a row for the Hawks that they have been shut out. They last played on Sunday night against the Islanders in Brooklyn and lost that one 3-0 as well. So it's now been 3 games since last the Blackhawks scored a goal. Their next game is Friday night at home against Winnipeg. Still, if they, assuming they score in that one, they'll have gone nearly a week in between goals scored for the team. And obviously the Hawks are in a rebuild, and there's no hiding that. There's no trying to get away or around that part for the Blackhawks this season. They're trying to rebuild. They're still in their tear down stage for where they're at and the state of their rebuild. For Chicago sports in general, there's a lot not great going on right now, but for the Hawks, they are very much in the tear down portion of their development. They're hoping for a high draft pick. They're trying to tear all this down. So of course it's been what about their last two remaining players from the core that won them 3 cups in 5 years at the beginning of last decade? It's been very quiet on the trade front. I brought up in the last segment, I brought up the Emily Kaplan piece on ESPN from earlier today. She also brought up in there a little further on talking about the trade market, and it's been very, very quiet around the entire NHL this season. Compared to in years past, we've had some deals that have happened in December. That have happened, some as early as November even, that you'll start to see some teams make moves. Now, generally, when we get to Christmas, there's kind of an unofficial moratorium on trades. Nobody wants to get traded at Christmas. Nobody. Merry Christmas, you're playing somewhere else. That's never fun. Even if you're going from a bad team to a good team, it's hard on your family. It's always a shock. So there's usually a hold on things like that around Christmas time. But we haven't seen much of any action. And the Blackhawks have 2 pieces that you would think would be very attractive to anybody. Yeah, Taryn, Merry Christmas. You're going to the Blackhawks, or you're going to the Ducks. What an exciting thing there. Yeah, you're going to Montreal or any of the other rough places in the NHL right now. The Sharks, the Coyotes, fill in the blank for the teams all trying to get to the bottom here in the NHL. Yeah, a rough Christmas present for sure for some of those people. So, but in the case of the Hawks, Taryn saying I'd say Detroit. The Red Wings are doing well. The Red Wings are very much on the rise. They are playing well. They are very soon going to be taking that next step. I mean, they're right there in it in the Atlantic Division. They've got some tough teams in front of them, of course. Boston, Toronto, Tampa, not the easiest of competition, but the Red Wings are doing well to start the season. So yeah, going to Detroit and going to Motor City, that's not the worst thing in the world right now. They are on the rebound. But what about Kane and Taves? Why haven't we heard anything about them yet? Well, according to Emily Kaplan, neither one of them wants to go anywhere. They are both happy being in Chicago. Kane specifically is not looking to move. And I find it curious. I find it interesting. Because on the one hand, Patrick Kane is one of the guys that got me re-interested in hockey when I was in college. I know I've told the story before. Cliff Notes version. The 2008-2009 Blackhawks were my reintroduction into hockey while I was in college, and watching Kane and Taves and Sharp and those guys got me back into it, got me hooked. And Patrick Kane in particular, I gravitated to him because he's American, and that was, a countryman. Nothing against Taves or Sharp or Keith or any of those guys, but hey, here's this brash young American punk. I mean, honestly, he reminded me of Jim McMahon on ice a little bit. But it's to the point where I would love for him to stay and retire a Blackhawk. But there's also a part of me that's wishing that, man, go. You could go win another cup. You deserve to be playing in May and June. And that's just not going to happen with the Hawks until you're, he's what, 34, 35 right now? That probably won't happen until he's 37, 38 years old at this point. And who knows where he'll be at physically at that point. Will he be ready to really contend? And the Blackhawks have said that they're going to retire both of these guys' jerseys when the time comes. They are made men in Chicago, and nothing is going to change that. But at the same time, they have no movement clauses. The ball is entirely in their court as to if they want to go somewhere. And certainly for Patrick Kane, but it sounds like for Jonathan Toews as well, they just don't want to go. They're comfortable being in the only professional hockey city they've ever known. They got drafted by the Hawks, and both of them straight up to the majors. Did not spend time in the minors. Kane spent time in London, Ontario during the first part of the 12-13 season when nothing was happening in the NHL in 2012. He spent some time there. But other than that, professionally, this is where they've been. I do wonder a little bit if, and this might be my Chicago hubris coming out a little bit here, I do wonder if the market isn't waiting on those guys a little bit just to see where do they decide to go, and once those dominoes fall, that we'll maybe start to see some of the other guys move. But I'm not sure. That could very well be an overinflated sense of importance on my part of my affection for those players, that, oh yeah, of course they're holding up the trade market because, these are guys that I like. I'm not sure on that, but it could be. It very well could be. But it's still, I find it interesting that neither one of them to this point has moved or seems like they're going to move. And we've heard this a few times, especially with Kane, that he is happy to stay there, that he wants to stay with the Hawks. Now we'll see how much longer that stays that way with the team being as bad as they are, dropping, what is this now, 9 of their last 10 games they have dropped. 1-8-1 in their last 10 games, only 3 points in that span. We could see some things change between now and then, but for right now, at least, that's where they're at, and I find it interesting. We'll keep our eye on that, of course, throughout the rest of the season and see just where exactly they wind up, if anywhere different from where they are currently. All right, we are going to take one more break, and then when we come back, we're going to catch up on scores from around the league, but then we've got some teams that are just surprising. I mentioned Dallas earlier at the top of the show. We've talked about New Jersey before, but there's another team that is just surprising us to start the season, and we'll crack that one open here in a little bit. This is the Neutral Zone on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Back right after this.
Some say that Indiana is just a flyover state. Flatlands and cornfields, barns and country roads. What if I told you Indiana is the crossroads of America? What if I told you in all other states basketball is just basketball. In Indiana, basketball is life. Crowded high school basketball gyms on a Friday night, and every barn with a basketball rim and a frayed, worn-out net. If you're interested in the heartbeat of America, and if you're interested in sports, if you have Hoosier running through your veins, the Crossroads Pod with Aaron X is made for you. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Each and every week, the Crossroad Pod covers all of Indiana sports. The pride of the horseshoe of the Indianapolis Colts. The blue-collar gold swagger of the Indiana Pacers. The relentless pursuit of the sixth banner for the Indiana Hoosiers. The swing of the hammer of the Purdue Boilermakers. The swoop of the Cardinals of Ball State. The summoning of the echoes of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. The growl of the Bulldogs of Butler. The intensity of an Indiana fever. The chop of the Indianapolis Indians. At the Crossroads Pod, if it is Indiana, we got you covered. More than cornfields. More than country back roads. The Crossroads of America. Join me, Aaron X, every week. It's nothing but net.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL, to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA, to the grand slams of the MLB, to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL, and to the booming kicks of the MLS, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
It's IE Sports Radio. It is your direct feed for all that is sports. It is Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris every Tuesday night right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris is the most comprehensive view on Philadelphia sports exclusively right here on IE Sports Radio. You know what it is, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tuesday night, IE Sports Radio, Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris.
Hey there, sports fans. Are you looking for a sports show that maybe isn't 100% about sports?
Then you might want to check out the Sports Couple Perspectives right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Most sports shows cover only scores and stats, and while we're not opposed to that, we dig a little deeper into sports issues and some of the hottest topics in athletics.
In addition to sports, we take a journey through my neck of the woods, pop culture, with movie reviews of both sports and non-sports films.
Speaking of pop culture, make sure to participate in our game nights, where we quiz each other on our specialties, and you, the listeners, can win IE Sports Radio apparel.
We always have a great time learning more about each other's worlds, one show at a time.
So join us each week on the Sports Couple Perspectives, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, ladies and sinners. Hello, sports fans around the world. Hello, IE Sports family. This is Cale Henderson, the host of IE Vegas, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio. If you folks are interested in sports in the Vegas area, if you're wanting to have a blast for 1 hour every Tuesday night from 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, this is a show built for the Vegas sports fans, where we feature the Las Vegas Raiders, the Las Vegas Golden Knights, the Las Vegas Aces, and the University of Las Vegas, Nevada Rebels. Hopefully, fingers crossed, MLB team coming soon. Either way, if you folks are looking to have a blast for 1 hour each and every week, tune in Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you folks are interested in Vegas sports news, go to our Twitter, at SinCities_IESR, and you can speak with me, the host, Cale Henderson, at Cale_Henderson on Twitter. At any time, be happy to reply. Always want to reach out to our fans. Again, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back into the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio. Adam Karnick with you here for another 10 minutes. I love that music from Sin City. Man, Cale, you pick some good stuff, man. Be sure to stick around right after us. Cale Henderson will be coming up right after us, talking all things Las Vegas sports. And I'm sure there's going to be some Golden Knights talk mixed in there, as the Golden Knights snapped Boston's 14-game home unbeaten streak last night in a shootout. The first team to beat Boston at home this season. First time the Bruins have gone home from the Garden without 2 points. So, stuff to talk about there. But one team that I want to talk about is catching up to Vegas in the rearview mirror a little bit. The Seattle Kraken. Seattle is another just surprising team to this point. Now they are getting ready to take on the Montreal Canadiens later on tonight. We'll take a quick look at the projected lineups for that one. Projected starters in net for both teams tonight, as I'm trying to get that pulled up here. It's most likely going to be Martin Jones for the Kraken, the guy who was supposed to be their backup all season long, yet has put together a 12-4-2 record and a 2.9 goals against average, all while Philip Grubauer has been injured most of the season. And then from Montreal, we're expecting it should be Jake Allen in net tonight for the Canadiens on that side. And they're getting set to drop the puck just about as we get off the air tonight. Seattle's another one of those teams that just, they weren't supposed to be this good. You know, they were at the bottom of the NHL a year ago, their first season in the league. And there was not a whole lot of reason to think that this was going to be the year for them. You know, the thinking was going to be, oh yeah, you know, they're going to need more time. You know, it's just their second year in existence. Yet here they are, and doing it with good, not great goal play. You know, I mentioned Philip Grubauer. He's been injured a lot of the season, so he hasn't been able to go. So they've been relying on Martin Jones. And Jones, he's been competent. He hasn't been great. You know, not quite saving 90% of the shots he's faced. But he's been competent. He's been good enough. The big thing for the Kraken to this point, their goal scoring. You know, they're just continuing to put the puck in net. 88 goals so far to this point in the season. Not overwhelming, but certainly, you know, upper portion of the league to this point. Andrei Burakovsky is doing well. 25 points in 24 games. You've got Jared McCann with 11 goals for them through this point in the season. And they're having fun out there. You know, anytime you can win a game 9-8, how is that not entertaining? You know, how is that not entertaining? I know there's going to be some older hockey fans are going to, oh, you know, that's just not good hockey. Okay, maybe not, but it's entertaining as all hell. You know, to just constantly, the puck's in net, the puck's in net, the puck's in net. What is going on here? And they've had nights like that where they've just been able to score seemingly at will. The 9-goal game, of course, is the one that's going to get remembered the most, the overtime win against the Kings. But 5 goals against the Ducks, 8 goals against the Sharks, 5 against the Predators and the Flames last month. You know, they beat the Calgary Flames last month. It's going to be very interesting to see what they're able to do. They've got their next few games. You know, they've got Montreal tonight. Then they're set up to take on Washington. They just played Washington here a few nights ago. They're going to get the Panthers at a really good time as the Panthers are banged up. But then they've got back-to-back games on the road against Tampa and Carolina. It's going to be interesting to see that. And then finishing out the calendar year with Calgary and Edmonton. It's going to be interesting to see where Seattle is at when we close out calendar year 2022 and flip on over to the back half of this season, just where Seattle is at. But I'll say this for the Kraken. They are fun to watch right now. And I hope it keeps going. All right. That is going to do it for our program here tonight. some shout outs and thank yous. Of course, our Patreon supporters, Bay Area Raised, Emlos Great, Key to the Gate, and Anonymous. Thank you for your support of not only this show, but of the entire station. It is definitely appreciated. If you want to become a Patreon supporter of IE Sports Radio, again, it starts at just $5 a month. Go to our website, iesportsradio.com. The link is right there. You can take it from there, and then you too can get a shout out on all of our shows. Thank you to Larry B., the man behind the station here at IE Sports Radio, all the hard work that you do, sir. Thank you to Taryn and Kale and Mike for coming and hanging out with us in the chat room tonight. Again, be sure to check out on social media. We've got our IE Sports Radio Hall of Fame. Voting is up. Mike is up for nomination on that, so you've got some people there, and maybe some other names that you'll recognize too. So be sure to check all that out and vote. Coming up next, right here on IE Sports Radio, it is Sin City Sports with Kale Henderson. He's going to be breaking down all things Las Vegas. I'm sure there's going to be some Raiders talk, and I'm sure there will be some Golden Knights talk mixed in there, as well as his usual excellent entertainment that he does on Tuesday nights. Finally, thank you for coming and hanging out with me tonight. Made it through the whole show. I wasn't sure if my throat was going to make it, but we made it through. So until next week, I am Adam Karnick. For Zach Puplis, we will see you guys next week. Until then, light the lamp, stay out of the penalty box, and of course, be careful crossing through the neutral zone. We'll see you next time, everybody.